Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. Look, 2020 has proven to be the year of many things, and the same for 2022. But if you're a small business, this could also be the year you switch to a better payroll. Gusto wasn't just built for small businesses, it was built for the people behind them. Their online payroll is easy to use. Gusto can automatically calculate paychecks and file all your payroll taxes, which means you have more time to run your business. Plus, Gusto does way more than payroll. Gusto helps with time tracking, health insurance, 401ks, onboarding, commuter benefits, offer letters, access to HR experts. You get the idea. It's super easy to set up and get started. If you're moving from another provider, they can transfer all your data for you. It's no surprise that 94% of customers are likely to recommend Gusto. And here's the best part. Because you're a listener to this podcast, you get 3 months totally free. All you have to do is go to gusto.com/compliance. That's gusto.com/compliance. I'm telling you, you're going to love Gusto. Get started today. The Daily Compliance News for November 9, 2021, the Stupid Texts edition. We begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal as the CEO of McDonald's has apologized for texts about 2 tragic shooting deaths in the city of Chicago involving children, where the CEO actually blamed the parents for the children's death. One child was shot by the police. One was shot as they were sitting at a McDonald's drive-thru. It's hard to believe that someone would put something like that so stupid in a text, but Chris Kempczinski, the CEO of McDonald's, did in a text to the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot. Of course, not recognizing that when you send a text to a public figure, that text becomes public. It did become public, and now he has been skewered over this. Even his daughter criticized him for it. He has apologized, and he said this will be a learning experience, but speaking as a privileged white male, you just can't believe how stupid privileged white males are when they say something as stupid as he did in a text. Just, you have to wonder about his entire leadership style now. Next up, a couple of stories from Yahoo News. We have them from time to time on the Daily Compliance News, but here we have 2 stories. The first one is corruption is a key hurdle in the fight against climate change. Samantha Powers, the administrator for the U.S. Agency for International Development, said that President Biden's pledge to donate $3 billion annually to help developing nations adapt to climate change is a crucial commitment, but acknowledged that addressing rampant corruption in those countries will be needed to help show that they're actually using those funds for something other than enriching their own pockets. This really speaks to why corruption is such an invidious problem across the world when we try to fight climate change by doing something about it, and the countries we give money to actually just purloin it. Along those lines, and the second story from Yahoo News is that Athol Williams, a South African whistleblower who testified at a state inquiry into the massive corruption allegations, has had to flee the country fearing for his life. He feels that he would be silenced after he testified about the public corruption involved in the state capture during the presidency of Jacob Zuma. So yet another South African has to flee when they bring corruption allegations to light. And then finally, I hope you've been following the story north of the border about the Rogers family. Well, Mr. Rogers, who owns one of the largest telecom companies in Canada, got his company back, and after an absolutely brutal fight with his family over it, and now it's going to be, only remains to be seen at what cost to get it back. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.